Before he died, Peter Falk exposed the 7 actors who were actually evil. Peter Falk was born Peter Michael Falk on September 16, 1927, in New York City, and raised in Ossining, New York. Falk entered the world already facing challenges. At the age of 3, a malignant tumor resulted in the surgical removal of his right eye. For the rest of his life, he wore a glass eye, something he would later turn into an advantage, folding it into characters who often appeared unassuming yet deeply expressive. This childhood hurdle became one of the earliest signs of the quiet determination that would define his personal and professional journey. Growing up in a working-class household, his mother a bookkeeper and his father the owner of a local clothing store, Falk developed an early fascination with storytelling and performance. Yet acting was not originally part of his plan. After finishing high school, he served briefly as a cook in the Merchant Marines during World War II, an experience that gave him a sense of discipline and a natural ability to connect with people from all walks of life. He later attended college, earning a degree in political science from the New School for Social Research, and went on to pursue a master's degree in public administration at Syracuse University. For a time, Falk lived a seemingly conventional life, working as a management analyst for the Connecticut State Budget Bureau, a job that was secure but far from fulfilling. It wasn't until his late 20s that he took the leap into acting, joining small theater groups and studying with legendary acting teachers such as Sanford Meisner and Ava Le Gallienne. His passion, talent, and undeniable screen presence quickly pushed him from community theater stages to Broadway, and before long to Hollywood. By the late 1950s and early 1960s, Falk earned widespread attention for his intense, gritty performances in film noir and crime dramas. His roles in Murder, Inc., 1960, and Pocketful of Miracles, 1961, earned him consecutive Academy Award nominations for Best Supporting Actor, establishing him as a formidable presence in the industry. But it was in 1968 that Falk took on the character who would define his career, reshape television detective storytelling, and endear him to millions across generations, Lieutenant Columbo. With his disheveled beige raincoat, ever-present cigar, shambling gait, and polite, almost apologetic manner of questioning, Falk transformed Columbo into a masterclass of subtle acting. His famous catchline, "Just one more thing," became one of television's most iconic phrases. Falk's genius was in portraying Columbo as a man the criminals consistently underestimated. Behind the casual demeanor lay a razor-sharp intellect, a relentless curiosity, and an uncanny ability to read human behavior. Falk shaped the character so deeply that the line between actor and role blurred. He contributed ideas, improvisations, and personal touches, making Columbo a fully lived-in, irresistibly human figure. Over the decades, Columbo became more than just a detective show. It evolved into a cultural landmark, beloved for its clever storytelling and Falk's extraordinary performance. The series earned him 4 Primetime Emmy Awards and cemented his status as one of television's most iconic actors. Beyond Columbo, Falk continued to take on a diverse array of roles, from comedies like The In-Laws, 1979, where his deadpan delivery became the film's comedic backbone, to dramatic appearances in independent films and art house classics, such as Wim Wenders's Wings of Desire, 1987, where he played a fictionalized, philosophical version of himself. Peter Falk's first marriage began during a formative and ambitious period in his life, long before he became one of television's most recognizable and beloved figures. He married Alice Mayo on April 17, 1960, a union that grew out of the deep connection they developed as young students at Syracuse University. At that time, both were discovering their identities, sharpening their talents, and imagining futures that had not yet taken shape. Their relationship blossomed in an environment of shared curiosity and creativity, and those early years together helped ground Falk emotionally as he embarked on the unpredictable path toward a professional acting career. Alice herself came from a strong academic background in fine arts and psychology, offering Falk not only companionship, but also a stabilizing intellectual partnership during a stage of his life marked by restlessness and artistic experimentation. During their marriage, the couple made the heartfelt decision to adopt two daughters, Catherine and Jackie, creating a family that brought joy and dimension to Falk's personal world, even as his career grew more demanding. Their daughter, Catherine, in particular, would later make a name for herself as a private investigator, a detail that often intrigued fans, given her father's iconic portrayal of the sly, trench-coated detective Lieutenant Columbo. Catherine's chosen profession sometimes echoed the spirit of her father's most famous character, adding an almost poetic symmetry to the family's story. Jackie, their other daughter, also remained an important part of Falk's life, contributing to the warmth and stability he tried to maintain despite the pressures of a flourishing acting career. However, like many long-term relationships strained by the relentless demands of Hollywood, the marriage faced growing challenges. Falk's rising fame, frequent filming schedules, and the emotional toll of embodying complex roles placed increasing weight on their once secure foundation. By 1976, after 16 years together, the couple made the difficult decision to end their marriage. The divorce marked the close of a significant chapter in Falk's life, one defined by youthful growth, professional ascent, and the creation of a family. Just over a year later, Falk entered a new phase of his personal life when, on December 7, 1977, he married actress Shara Denise. Their relationship introduced a very different dynamic from his first marriage. Shara was not only deeply connected to the entertainment world, but would go on to play a notable role in Falk's professional universe. She became a familiar presence to Columbo audiences, guest starring in more episodes than any other actress. Her recurring involvement in the series reflected not only her talent, but also the creative synergy she and Falk shared. Their marriage endured for decades, weathering both public visibility and the private health struggles Falk faced later in life. Denise remained a constant figure beside him, and their long partnership became a defining part of his later years, one marked by loyalty, artistic collaboration, and enduring companionship. In the final years of his life, when age and illness had begun to soften the sharp edges of his famously shrewd Columbo persona, Peter Falk occasionally spoke with startling candor about the people he had encountered during his decades in Hollywood. Though he was never one to seek controversy or tear down colleagues for sport, there were rare moments, often in quiet interviews or intimate conversations, when he admitted that not everyone behind the glamorous facade of the film and television world possessed the warmth or integrity that audiences like to imagine. In one particularly revealing conversation, Falk reflected on the small but unforgettable group of performers whose behavior left him shaken, disillusioned, or deeply disappointed. With characteristic restraint, he framed his words carefully yet pointedly, describing 7 actors he believed had crossed the line from difficult to genuinely harmful. The first name Falk ever mentioned was George C. Scott, a man of towering talent but tempestuous temperament. Falk recalled moments on set where Scott's anger turned volcanic. "George had a fire in him that could burn a hole straight through you," Falk admitted, noting how Scott's outbursts could leave entire crews walking on eggshells. Falk admired Scott's genius, but believed the actor's fury went beyond the acceptable boundaries of artistic passion. Another actor Falk singled out was Robert Mitchum. Though a Hollywood icon known for his cool, detached style, Mitchum possessed a darker side that Falk said was as cold as an empty street at 3 in the morning. Falk had seen Mitchum humiliate younger actors, push aside extras, and treat crew members with a disdain that made Falk's skin crawl. There was something in his eyes sometimes, like kindness just wasn't built into him, Falk said quietly. He also mentioned Telly Savalas, a performer with whom he shared both professional admiration and personal tension. Falk remembered Savalas as a man who could turn charm on and off like a light switch, yet behind the scenes behaved in ways that Falk described as manipulative and cruel. Telly loved power more than people, Falk remarked. And when a man loves power too much, that's when he starts slipping into something darker. Another name that surprised many was Rod Steiger, whose intensity, Falk claimed, sometimes warped into emotional violence. Falk described witnessing Steiger verbally dismantle colleagues, leaving them demoralized for days. Rod could be brilliant, Falk said, but brilliance doesn't excuse breaking people like they're props. The fifth actor Falk mentioned was James Coburn, usually celebrated for his cool demeanor and effortless swagger. Falk said that Coburn maintained a two-faced persona, smooth and affable in public, but cutting and predatory toward those he saw as beneath him. Jim could smile at you while he pushed the knife in, Falk revealed. Two more names completed Falk's unsettling list. Anthony Quinn, whose self-importance Falk claimed tipped into cruelty, and Lawrence Harvey, whom he described as dangerously manipulative. Harvey had a way of making you feel like a pawn in a game you didn't even know you were playing, Falk said. That kind of mind, that's where real trouble grows. Though he never wished to stain anyone's legacy, Falk believed in honesty, especially near the end of his own life. He emphasized that the vast majority of actors he knew were kind, hard-working, and respectful. But these 7 individuals, he confessed, left him with haunting memories of ego, ruthlessness, and emotional destruction. People think evil always looks like a monster, Falk reflected. But in my line of work, sometimes it wears makeup, steps into the spotlight, and calls itself a star. In sharing these rare words, Falk offered a glimpse into the shadows of an industry built on light, a final, unfiltered truth from a man whose life's work revolved around exposing the hidden motives behind human behavior. On the quiet evening of June 23, 2011, the world lost one of its most endearing and unforgettable performers when Peter Falk passed away at his longtime residence on Roxbury Drive in Beverly Hills. This was the same home where he had spent decades surrounded by family, friends, and the familiar comforts that had accompanied him through the height of his career and into his later years. The house itself had become a kind of sanctuary, a place where he had entertained colleagues, read scripts, painted canvases for hours on end, and shared countless moments with those he loved. His passing at age 83 marked the end of an era, closing the final chapter of a life that had left an extraordinary imprint on television, film, and the hearts of millions. The official causes of death were pneumonia and complications related to Alzheimer's disease, a condition he had battled privately for several years. Alzheimer's had gradually dimmed the sharp wit and brilliant instincts that had defined him as both an actor and a man. For someone known for portraying Lieutenant Columbo, a character built on razor-sharp intuition and the uncanny ability to piece together the tiniest details, the struggle with memory loss carried a painful irony. Though he had stepped back from the public eye as the disease progressed, those close to him witnessed not only the challenges, but also the resilience and gentle spirit that continued to shine through even in his final years. Pneumonia, often a dangerous condition for the elderly, ultimately became the illness that brought his long and remarkable life to its close. In the days following his death, his daughters Catherine and Jackie spoke tenderly of the father they adored. They said they would remember his wisdom and humor, a sentiment that captured the essence of who he was beyond the camera. To them, he was not just a celebrated actor, but a source of guidance, playfulness, and steady affection. His wisdom often surfaced in the form of simple but profound life lessons, delivered with his signature blend of sincerity and mischief. His humor, sometimes dry, sometimes wonderfully silly, was a constant presence, lightening even the most difficult moments. Their statements reflected not only a deep familial love, but also the universal qualities that endeared him to audiences throughout his career. Peter Falk was laid to rest at Westwood Village Memorial Park Cemetery in Los Angeles, California, a serene and historic resting place known for being the final home to many of Hollywood's legends. Nestled among well-tended lawns and shaded pathways, the cemetery offers a peaceful setting that mirrors the quiet dignity with which Falk lived much of his personal life. His gravesite has since become a place where fans continue to visit, leaving flowers, handwritten notes, and small tokens of appreciation. Tributes to a man whose portrayals, especially as the rumpled detective with the iconic raincoat and ever-present "just one more thing," continue to resonate across generations. His burial there forever connects him to the city where he built his career, formed lifelong friendships, and became a cherished part of American cultural history.